Yeah, how's it going? Today is 25th of January, Tuesday, and we are taking a look at the market and what kind of opportunities we might be able to find. In today's video is something that I have taken a look at yesterday, what might be important, but as of now, this market is under control by these limited players. Perhaps five people have the entire market, right? Yeah, once that been said, we can take a look at Apple charged with the breach of EU tech rules facing another probe, right? It's something that was published recently on 24th. What we can do, we can take a look at some of the backstory first. And once we have taken a look at the backstory, perhaps some people do not know the backstory, but again, I'll try to compress all information within 15 minutes perhaps and come back to this article, and then we can take a look at why and what's happening. I haven't read this article, by the way. Already to know, right? First article that we're gonna be taking a look at. That would be something that happened 1997. That would be why Bill Gates saved Apple from bankruptcy. So there would be potential timestamps, and I'll try to follow everything in this kind of matter. But there is more to it, but I don't have enough time to cover everything in necessary detail to reflect on all the details and many factors that would be worth considering, right? Did you know that Bill Gates once saved Apple from bankruptcy, right? So I don't know a lot of people, but I think that would be people making stories up where one person called another person and asked for money and how much of that was, you know. But I don't know all the details, like who knows. So what happened was there was transaction of money and it was somewhere around 150 million that was sent to Apple by Bill Gates, right? From there, let's progress to the next article that today Microsoft swallows Nokia's phone business for 7.2 billion. I don't know, that's a lot of money. 2013. That might be a lot of money. 11 years ago, right? What are you doing? Helsinki's statement Microsoft Corp will buy Nokia phone business and license its patents for 5.44 billion euros or 7.2 billion, a bold foray into mobile devices that also brings potential to chief executive contender. There's more information there, but either way, so what happened was, right, so let's rephrase it. There's a lot of information, right? Microsoft have purchased some of the other players in the market, right? We can touch on another company that with the five things you need to know about Google antitrust trial as testimony expected to wrap up. That will be an article that was published 7 months ago. We can touch on that. I have heard about it, but I haven't read this article, right? So that will be some of the tech companies and everything. What's as of now happening in the market, right? So there's a lot of trials, and I don't know the details. I have my opinions about those trials, right, and everything what's happening in there. It's my opinion. Nobody will gonna like my opinion. Once that been said, let's take a look at this article and see what other people and what research was done, right? Let's spend perhaps a minute on this article, and we're gonna progress to the next article, right? The U.S. government has expected on Thursday to wrap up evidential phase of the court battle with Alphabet, or that would be part of Google, right? Which is accused in 2020, so some time ago, right? Since this article was published 6 months ago. Lawsuit of breaking antitrust law with tactics. So there is some strategy, there is some tactics, and there's a lot of things happening. Just try to chase those people. So what kind of tactics are happening, right? Use for dominance online search and some of the online advertisement. In the trial that started on September 12th and expected largely, and Thursday, the Justice Department is seeking to provide Google is a monopoly and or illegally abuse their monopoly powers for favor of its own bottom line. No decisions of whether it hold closing arguments has been made, right? So basically, so there's a company in the U.S. and it's been trialed by U.S. government, right? To make more money or to perhaps make money out of other governments, including Europe, right? Who knows, right? So, but if it's been triggered by its own government, it's already out of order. Order. Instead, we can touch on some of the headlines, right? Google paid billions to be default on your phone, right? So I don't know about billions, right? They definitely made and or paid a lot of smartphones, devices, manufacturers to be default function and be locked into those kind of markets, right? I don't know how many, I don't know all the details, right? But perhaps someone knows, right? As well as Google search dominance led to ad cloud and or higher prices. So there's a lot of things, right? So let's progress to other articles, right? Next one, article that we're going to be taking a look at after the Apple locks competitors out of the market says U.S. Attorney General. Again, so that's U.S. Companies and trying to charge U.S. companies. So it's handshaking, a lot of handshaking going on. It's wasting everyone's time. But either way, once that been said, I don't know, we can take a look at some of the headlines from this article, but there's so much information for people who are interested. Like, or anyone can do their own research, right? Since this video is going to be way too long, I thought I'll touch on a couple of important bits. And from there, we're going to come back to what's happening in Europe, right? And so some of those practices in Europe, right? Article that I would be reading should make more sense after this background information, right? That would be quickly. We can take a look at some of the highlights of this article, but it's so much information, right? Entire article, more than likely we're gonna go in detail with a lot of perhaps even ongoing trials, right? And or I don't have enough time to read the entire article and present this information or rephrase this information. So again, I'll encourage everyone to read and or search this kind of information for yourself if you're interested. If anything, we more than likely we're discussing some of the tactics and or strategies to how to approach market and how to dominate market, right? As a business person, perhaps it's something that everyone's doing, right? But to what extent, right? So that would be myself rephrasing it. Since the entire article is so much pages, so many pages, right? So I'm not necessarily be interested in or touching on the necessary points within this article. And I don't want to mislead one by sharing very little information about some of those tactics or practices, right? So I'll just share a screenshot and let's progress to where we have started, right? Let's come back to this article, initial article that we where we have started. Something that he is doing, right? That the Apple charged with breaching EU tech rules based on the probe, right? And bullet points have to be Apple new business models discourage app developers, EU says, right? That's just one point. The next one would be a new EU probe that targets Apple's new contractual terms. Next point would be Apple risk fine of as much as 10% of its annual global turnover, which I think is reasonable. that's my opinion, right? People up there will decide it, or will decide, so to say, unless they would lobby, then they would not necessarily decide anything. From there, let's look at final E decision expected in March next year, right? So they would have plenty of time to discuss what's better practices, right? And from there, let's progress to the article. I haven't read it, so let's take a look at it. The European Union antitrust regulation charged on Monday that Apple breached the block stack rules. I don't know if I would consider it the block, but I think it's this article has been published and written by someone from US. So that's the first point, perhaps worth mentioning it. So it's not a block, where something perhaps where Apple is looking to make a lot of margins based on competitive practices. Since it's something that, based on history, Apple and all other companies have been trying to do a lot. Perhaps there's some people up there, in this case in the EU, who have recognized what Apple practices, tactics, and strategy is, and they're doing a probe, which is reasonable. A charge that could result in a hefty fine for iPhone. I don't think it's hefty. I think it's reasonable. So again, it's someone from US writing, right? Who are in their own interest to make, if they can, way more money from, in this case, European Union. Maker will also face another investigation in the new fees imposed on app developers. It was not necessarily just EU, it was recognized by India themselves about some of those practices, where even them, at the time, it was about 2 or 3 months ago, they have recognized about some of those practices, about apps, the way how people were to be charged based on using those apps and all these practices, right? And then monopolistic practices, and people would be forced into the contracts, right? So some of those practices, not necessarily just EU Commission that was recognized by, right? But we don't have enough time to discuss entire article. The European Commission is also EU antitrust and technology regulation. They say that its primary finds the Apple following investigation launched in March. A charge against Apple in the first of the Commission under landmark Digital Markets Act, which seeks to rein in the power of big tech. Okay, finally, because it's all entire market is such under out of control. Big tech, so to say, right? The entire market is out of control. So perhaps they should, if they would charge, perhaps the EU could do more, encouraging more projects coming from EU, and those projects would be sold to US. Then everyone would be happy, more than happy. Then these kind of practices would end potentially, and then we can listen to US making their statements. I wish that would happen in the time frame of 5 years from now, right? For smaller rivals, it has until March next year to issue a final decision. DMA's violating could result in a fine as much as 10% of the company's global annual turnover, if we can prove it. So, if we can prove it, of course, why not? So, if that's the case, and if something that in this case Apple is doing, so they should perhaps consider stopping doing it. Otherwise, they're gonna keep doing it. If they don't see and the repercussions of doing it, we could carry on doing it. You want to trust cheap? Okay, that's names there. Some of the people making statements, right? Cited that with Apple's new terms, saying that they fell short of the companies with DMA. Apply can avoid the fine. It can address the concerns by modifying its business terms. So they already build in a lot of systems in the contracts and all business models and tactics to prevent that. I don't want to discuss that too much in the detail, but I already know where this is going, right? To perhaps be more balanced or give more balanced perspective. At one point, I think Apple was really a pioneer in the way where Apple was concentrating on a product and what kind of the best, providing best impossible product to the market. I completely agree with Apple and its practices, where they're looking to provide very good services or products to the market. That's good practices. That's something to be encouraged and taken notice of by other businesses, but not the contract itself and what kind of contract and some of the tactics they're looking to introduce to markets and force people into those kind of contracts. I don't think that's the best practices for other people to take notice of, right? And the new contract requirements EU executive said it was also opening investigation into iPhone market over its new contractual agreements for third-party apps developers and app stores, and whether these were necessary and or proportionate. I think just to put things into perspective, India themselves have noticed that just a matter of time. So I don't know if they would force you into EU into this kind of contract, everything would fall within the next 5 years. So right, the issue is the core technology fee percentage, right? So I think the percentage is way too high. I can't remember all the details, right? The multi-step user journey, download and install alternative app store in the phone, and all eligibility requirements for developers to offer alternative app stores in direct distribution apps from the web on iPhones, right? I don't want to do that. I don't know. I don't want to bring you in that more attention to this technology firm. I think it's going down, and I think this firm is going down very fast. And we're trying to grab hold on what they can, and this is what kind of tactics we're looking to introduce to the market by forcing a lot of content creators and all app developers and all these kind of things onto this store. And that's just one of many reasons why not to use this kind of phone. I can touch on some of the reasons why some of the companies have chosen to stop using this kind of phones, and I'll encourage other people to do the same. Thanks for watching. See you next one.